Oh boy, did I crash OBS opening this image. I had to open it in my browser to not crash OBS. So this is going to be the out of bounds movement, and I'm going to try to explain this using the map here. Hopefully you can see my cursor. Okay, you can. So this is a little bit awkward to explain, but we are currently clipped out of bounds on this route down here. You can probably hopefully see where my cursor is. We are right here out of bounds. We just clipped into this grass south of Jubilife, the big town here. We are clipped out of bounds here. And our goal is to make it all the way over here and clip in right here on Route 212. And the way that we're going to do that is by doing out of bounds movement. And what's weird about the out of bounds movement is you don't always bonk on collision. There's like really weird collision boxes. And as you can see to our right, there's a lot of void, right? We're going to do this with 2 movement series. So again, we're right here. This doesn't have collision until you're higher up. So from here, you're going to hold straight right. You're going to follow this kind of like red line all the way to the right. All the way right until you bonk on these trees. And then once you bonk these trees, you're going to go down until you can go below the trees. And they're going to go up and right at the same time until you won't go in the water, until you go all the way right, all the way, and you'll go into the bog here by holding up and right. And you'll clip in like right here. So it's going to seem really complicated. That's what you're doing, even though you won't be able to see any of it. So once again, like I said, you're going to hold right until you bonk into this wall of trees here. You're going to hold down until you can go right. So like walk down a bit, see if you can go right. Walk down a bit, see if you can go right. And then finally, once you can go right, you're just going to hold up and right. And eventually, you're going to get to the bog. So I'm going to show off the movement now. And again, this whole time, you want to keep this menu open because you're going to save in a little bit. And it's nice to be on this menu because you can see your character moving around. If you're not on the save menu, you can't really see your character. So I like to hit the R button when I'm doing the out of bounds movement. Alright, so anyway, like I said, you're going to hold right. And you're going to hold right for a pretty long time. If you want, you can be a bit fancy and go like diagonal down. But just for the sake of keeping the movement simple, I'm going to just hold right. This is more of a beginner guide. And the more you try and improve your time, you might do a little bit more fancy movement. But for now, hold right is just totally fine. So we're getting pretty close to the wall. Should be any second now. We will bonk. Probably about 3 more seconds or so. So there's the wall. And then we're going to go, again, we're on those trees. So we need to go down until we can go right. So that's going to be about 30 steps. You get a feel for it the more you do runs. That should be pretty close. Any second now. Just kind of inch your way down. And now I can go right. So now we're at the bottom of the trees. And we need to go up and right into the bog. So just hold up and right. You want to kind of hold an angle like this so you're moving fast while you're also going up and right. And eventually I'm going to clip into the bog. Now, if you're not trying to be like super fancy or go for a really good time, once you see Route 212, you're totally good to just save the game. I'm going to show a little bit more of a fancy optimization that is good for like top end runs. So once you're in the bog, like I said, you could just save the game and then work your way into Pastoria. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show off a little bit of a fancy tech. So what you can do here, instead of just saving the game and resetting, is you can go down a bit. And you're going to be clipped out of bounds again. You'll be inside the trees. And when you go to the right, you won't hit the grass, so you won't get grass encounters. And you also won't fall into the bog. So you want to go right like a little bit, and then go up until you're back in bounds. You'll hear your footsteps. See how I heard the mud? That's how you know you're back in bounds. Then you can hold right until you bonk. So you're bonking on the tree right next to the toxic TM. You want to go up a few steps and then go right. So up a few steps, go right. You'll go through a couple patches of grass, and then I'm in town. So that's just a fancier way of moving into town. It risks far less encounters, and at the high end like level of play, getting a single encounter is usually run over. So you really want to be trying to avoid the encounters as best you can. But again, you can just save as soon as you hit Route 212 if you're just trying to complete a run. Yep, I'm just going to go and load up my save to show that I am just to the left of Pastoria Town, and I'm going to head on in. And he's second now. Again, resets are really slow in this. And as you can see, I am in Pastoria. Nice and easy. Alright, so that should help explain at least a little bit of how the out of bounds movement works, and also the specific out of bounds movement we just used for that little segment there. There will be a much more complicated out of bounds segment coming up. I'll explain that more in detail once we get to that. But for now, hopefully you understand at least how to get to this part of the run, and I will be back with the next segment.